So we made it to today's location in Sydney and it's a beautiful day. It's a bit cloudy. It was raining this morning but luckily it stopped. And today I'm really excited because we're going to do a 50mm 1.4 versus 50mm 1.2. And we're going to be testing this on location at a fashion shoot. I'm going to take photos with both lenses on the same camera with the same settings. And then we're going to go through and have a look at the photos, see what they look like, and compare if the 50mm 1.2 is worth it, or if you're just better sticking with the 50mm 1.4. Let's do it! For today's photo shoot, we have our model Evie from Vivian's Model Management, our hair and makeup artist Lydia, and Dan filming the behind the scenes footage for this video. So what started out as a really simple comparison video quickly turned a little bit chaotic because it started pouring down rain during our shoot. So our photo shoot unfortunately had to be cut a little bit short. I couldn't get as many photos as I wanted to during the shoot, but this only gives us a few more points to talk about when comparing the 50mm 1.2 to the 50mm 1.4. So that brings me to my first point of weatherproofing. The Canon 50mm 1.2 is a weatherproof lens, which means that if you shoot outdoors professionally quite a lot, that can come in really handy. So for situations such as fashion shoots, weddings, travel photography, sometimes you don't really get a say in what the weather's going to be like and whether or not you have to shoot through it or not. There's been so many occasions where I've had to shoot in the pouring rain during a wedding or even a fashion shoot sometimes. So for me personally, I prefer the 50mm 1.2 as I know it's a reliable lens that won't break down on me while I'm shooting. And I also prefer not to cancel a shoot due to bad weather conditions, such as today's shoot, for example. I always like to try and go through with plans because I know people have made time to shoot with me that day, so I try not to cancel and make the most of the situation. The 50mm 1.4, however, is not weatherproof, and you know, this is a really great beginner lens, but it's my personal opinion that if you start shooting professionally a lot more often, it might be a good idea to think about upgrading to a lens that is weatherproof, just so you've got that peace of mind that you can rely on your gear regardless of the situation. This is a close-up of the Canon 50mm 1.2. And this is a close-up of the Canon 50mm 1.4. And then this is the two lenses side by side so you can compare the size and what they look like to each other. So in terms of size and weight, the 50mm 1.2 is a lot bigger and a lot heavier than the 1.4, so that's where the 1.4 gets a win from me. It's a lot easier to travel with, it's a lot lighter, so you don't notice it as much. So I've used both these lenses for quite a long amount of time each. When I got my first professional camera body, a Canon 5D Mark II, I also bought the 50mm 1.4 lens as I knew I wanted to do portrait photography, and from doing my research, I learned that that's a great portrait photography lens. So I have used the 50mm 1.4 for a few years before I started upgrading my camera gear and getting some L series lenses. And I got the 50mm 1.2 about 4 years ago, I think, and have been using that ever since. Something I have noticed, and like I'm not sponsored and I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm just like trying to be transparent with the things that I noticed by using both these lenses for a good amount of time, is that the 50mm 1.4 does get beautiful photos, it gets sharp photos. The only thing is that it's not consistent in the quality of photos that it captures. So I'll show you a few images that I shot on the day with each lens. So this is the 50mm 1.4. And as I'm flicking through each of these images, you can see that some of them are really tack sharp, and the next photo it goes out of focus a little bit, and then the next one's sharp again. And then these are the photos I took on the 50mm 1.2, and you can see that the quality of the focus and the sharpness is consistent within each photo that I took. So both my lenses were in the rain for about the same amount of time during the photo shoot. However, you can really see the effects of the weatherproofing in the photos that I took. So these are the images that I took on the 50mm 1.2, and as you can see, they look clear, there's no fogging, and the images look pretty much normal, and they're all sharp as well. And these are the images I took with the 50mm 1.4, and these were the last photos of the day, just like the ones I showed you before. And as you can see, since the lens isn't weatherproof, there were little droplets of water that were getting inside the lens and fogging it up, and that caused the images to come out a little bit blurry. They have like this white kind of filter over them, and they just don't look as crisp as the images from the 1.2. Since the 50mm 1.2 is an L series professional lens, it does have quite a hefty price tag attached to it. So I would probably recommend to buy that lens if you're looking to upgrade, or if you're looking to have like one professional lens, if that's what you're getting into. Otherwise, the 50mm 1.4 is a quarter of the price of the 1.2, and I think that's a really great entry-level lens. It was my first lens, and I've known loads of people that have used that as their first lens as well. And lots of people that still use it to this day, and I never thought I'd whip that lens out again, but hey, here I am using it on today's shoot as well. In terms of workflow on the day, I didn't really feel too much of a difference between shooting on the 1.2 or the 1.4. Both lenses worked perfectly fine for me, and I didn't have any problems or any issues shooting on the 1.4 compared to the 1.2. So in my opinion, they work very, very similarly. The only difference is the outcome, which we have spoken about in the quality of images and the weatherproofing. The only thing I would mention is that the 1.2 has a slightly faster autofocus, and when my lens was covered in like rain droplets while I was shooting, the 1.2 could still focus through that, whereas the 1.4 was struggling a little bit, but it got there in the end. So I was happy shooting with both lenses. So to summarize, if you're a beginner photographer and you're looking to purchase your first prime lens or your first 50mm lens or your first lens just in general, I personally really love the 50mm 1.2. As I mentioned many times, it was my first lens when I got my first professional camera body, and it served me so many purposes and was such a great lens to work with for so many years while I was starting out. It's great at portrait photography and also just a great all-rounder lens for a bit of everything. If you're more of a professional photographer or you're starting to get into photography more professionally and you're looking to upgrade a lens or get into your first L series lens, then I personally think that the 50mm 1.2 is a great option, as you'll have peace of mind with the weatherproofing, the better body build, and more consistency in the quality of your images. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's comparison video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried both these lenses and what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys all really soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.